Sticks and Strings. I'm Naomi.
I'm Beth. I'm Eve. Man, I almost stepped on her.
Well, every time we do these, I feel like my head is big. But I guess you're sitting back further?
You lean forward.
There, I lean forward, so I look giant. Sorry. Anyway, hi, welcome back. We're back. It's April, almost the end of April.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened. I don't know why I thought Easter was like, I don't know, early April. I don't know. Anyway, it's a week away from May, so
Less than a week.
Happy end of April. We hope that you guys are doing well. Get your drinks, get your stitching, and
settle in.
Settle in for a little conversation with us today. We're so glad you're back. Eve is going to go first and take it away.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so today I'm working on Moonlit Moth by Counting Puddles, and this is one of the Night Garden patterns, of which I plan to stitch at least 3. And this is where I am currently. Let's see, right side up. This is where I am currently, and hopefully I'll be a little bit further on as we progress while we stitch here. And I have put some sparkle in. I'm not putting in any sparkle right now. So that's that. Now, I finished this bee. It's called Sleeping Bee, and honestly, I can't remember who the pattern is by. I have it here. I don't know who it is. I'm sorry. If you're interested, text. I will tell you.
That bee?
Yeah.
What's in his antenna to make him stand up?
Nothing.
Is he stuffed?
No, the antenna aren't stuffed, just little balls on top.
Oh, cute.
He's
very cute.
He's got little
I gotta pick
wings.
him up because he's got little hands.
He's got little
Little
hands.
arms.
And his wings. Now you've done it. I had all the pieces done, and then if you notice, he's got little pinky cheeks. And I didn't have any pink yarn, and I was like, maybe I can use the color I used for his wings, but I want to have little pink cheeks.
So you went and bought pink yarn.
Yeah. Yeah, they have little tiny skeins like about that big.
Yeah.
And I just bought one of
Those
those.
little bonbons or whatever.
That's actually the size of skeins I bought to make it in the first place.
Yeah.
Anyway, I needed a new project.
So.
And I had seen on YouTube somebody talking about not a fight, but
Controversy?
Somebody sniping about somebody else's pattern. Okay, and this person was like, I'm going to do this pattern and see, who's right, kind of thing. And she gave the pattern very high marks. And it's a crochet sock pattern. And this is by Olga Poltava, Poltava. Anyway, it's crocheted from the toe up to the cuff, and it's supposed to be very.
Is that the dog?
It's the other dog. It's supposed to be not only easy to do, but very easy to make it.
Did he go outside?
No, he's just trying to get out.
Oh, he's in the other room.
To make it easy for it to fit your foot, to adjust the pattern so that it fits your foot. It has 2 videos that go in conjunction with the pattern. And Naomi has very kindly lent me some crochet hooks, and one of them is exactly the right size.
Oh.
And I purchased some sock yarn called Fruits. And I purchased dragon fruit, so it's striped and it looks like fruit too.
It looks like those dragon fruit seeds. Well, this is very interesting for, you must really you got the crochet bug all of a sudden. I was like, you called me about the yarn and I was like, crochet socks? Number one, you always say, I don't wear socks. I don't like socks. And
I didn't
was
say
like,
I was going to wear them.
but, and I'm like, ooh, crochet bug bit you bad.
Well, part of the wanting to do the socks is like I said, I need a new project. And I don't want a project like, actually, she has a pattern of, I don't know if it's an over blouse or a blouse. Not a blouse, a shirt.
A shawl?
Top.
Oh, that top you showed me?
Yeah.
I think it's like a shawl.
Well, no, it's more like a top.
Mm.
But anyway, it's really beautiful, and I was like, that's really pretty. The amount of stitching, crocheting that I'm like, no. I have found that right now I'm in a room where my TV is not, and I want to sit up for a little while, but not like until I'm sleepy, and I want to have something that when I'm done with cross stitch for the day, because my eyes just can't do it, it's relaxing to crochet. And I've been doing really little ones, and they've gotten progressively bigger. And I saw this controversy on YouTube about these socks. And
Can I ask what the controversy was?
so a woman who apparently sells yarn wanted to do crochet along, knit along, crochet along. I don't know what it's called when you're crocheting. And she had people buy the yarn for her to do this, and it was going to be like a live thing. Okay, so a woman who sells yarn wanted to do a crochet along or a knit along or whatever, and she chose this pattern by this person who is not her. Okay. And they did a live where she wanted everybody to buy that yarn. Some people didn't get their yarn, but she wanted everybody to buy that yarn, and they're doing it, and all she's doing is ragging on the pattern about how it's the worst pattern she's ever done. And
Did the people that were doing it buy the pattern?
yeah, they had to buy the pattern because that's
from,
the pattern
from the original designer.
Right. That's the pattern she chose, and they bought it from the original designer. And then she spent all this time just
Complaining
dissing
about
the pattern, right?
Weird. Like, wouldn't you, if you were going to do a crochet along, wouldn't you have already done the pattern so that you know you like it?
Well, maybe she did before she started that, and then she was,
Well,
I don't know.
As a weird,
But-
why she would make people buy the pattern if she didn't like it.
But
You know?
the thing is that you just keep your mouth closed and you behave like an adult, to my mind.
Because it was a ploy to sell her own yarn.
Well, yeah. And apparently she doesn't make patterns, so of course she knows what a good pattern is. So then the person who did the pattern made an answering video. I didn't watch that because I was not invested in the whole argument. I just was
Now I'm very curious. I'm going to have to look it up.
I was just listening to the woman who was like, I'm going to try out this pattern. I've done knit socks. I crochet and all this. And she says, I'm quite familiar with reading patterns and doing all this stuff. And I'm just going to try it out to see how it works. And she gave the pattern high marks. So
It's like, I don't know what your problem is.
so then I'm like, well, I have to try it out because I needed a new project, and
And you love a good crochet controversy.
I do. So I went ahead and decided to buy it. And then, let's see. Robin, Cute Patterns by Maria. I honestly thought there's absolutely no way I'm going to finish this before the end of the month. There is less than a week left, but there is a high probability that if I'm not done, I will be done shortly thereafter. I've not finished his feet, and of course I am not anywhere near finishing all the back stitching. There is so much back stitching in this.
Can I see?
It's not funny. There's lots and lots and
Wow.
lots. There's still tons left to do. I think Pattern Keeper says I'm 80% done.
That's just with the stitches.
And that's just with the stitching. Yeah,
Yeah.
it may be higher than that now.
It's so pretty though.
But
Go, go,
I'm-
go. Keep going. It's so beautiful.
I'm really happy with it. It's so cute. So, but I didn't want to work on it here because I don't want to mess it up. And then I have been plugging away at Snowed In Winter by Stitching with the Housewives. A few moments a day. And this is my progress. You can actually see that it's going to say something.
Nice. Looks good.
I got all the mess that I did before worked out, and it's getting there. I'm really happy with the shiny threads. I think they look nice. I haven't finished this because I thought I'm just going to finish this bottom part so that I know for sure everything's fitting that way, and if I can fit another. Because up here, there's 3. Up here, there's 3. So if I have to stick to 2 or if I can put 3, I'm thinking it's going to have to be 2. And I love berries. I really do. And I wanted to start, there's a hare in my garden. I wanted to start it so badly after I had all the materials. And I started it without doing my homework, let's just say. I should have gone to her website and downloaded the template and taken it and enlarged it like it says and held that up against the fabric to know exactly where to start. I did not. I guesstimated. So I have one more motif to put in, and it goes right here, and honestly it's not going to fit, but I will put as much of it as I can fit there and just stitch over it. There's so many berries that you stitch over the stitch, you seam over the stitching, that I'm not going to try to worry about it. But look how much I've done. Yay.
Wow.
This has been so fun for me to work on. At first I was like, big old rope and all that. But as my eyesight troubles me more and more, this larger count fabric has been very easy for me to work on. So I've been enjoying it, besides the fact that I know I'm making a berry. So yeah. So there's that. And then Under the Sea temperature chart, designed by myself for Three Sisters Creative, which is our Etsy shop. And I have made some adjustments to the pattern. I'm going to be stitching mine with the turtle here, and I'll probably adjust the pattern to put the turtle there and everything for when I'm going to put it up again for next year with
The turtle and the lobster.
with a picture. So, yeah,
Oh,
with
yeah.
the turtle and lobster. Anyway, as you can see, we had a very cold day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so as I was stitching these fish down here, they're 2 different colors of fish. And I kept thinking to myself, that line in, the colors are blush and bashful, 2 very distinct colors of pink. And the mother's like, it's pink and pink. Because they are
Still
2 different
magnolia.
colors of
Yeah.
orange, but yeah.
Blush and bashful.
But I kept telling that to myself. It's 2 very distinct colors of pink. But I am enjoying putting these little fishies on. I know when I designed it, I wanted it something where the daily thing wouldn't take you a long time to do. That was the one thing that was frustrating for me with the turtles. I loved the finished thing, but I had so many problems getting that shape right. And that's my fault, not the pattern's fault. I'm not ragging on the pattern. Okay, before we see you again, it will be May. And I have, the patterns I'm going to concentrate on are the Summer Basket by Hands On Design. I have 2 finished, and these are finished very, very close to the edge. Very close, because I was drugs or something when I was doing it. So I probably will have to sew something on there in order to finish it, because it is very close to the edge. But that's okay. I have this one started.
Is that for May? You're going to work on that in May?
Yeah. So that's this final one here, the bottom corner.
Can you see
And
that pattern? I always forget. Or this one here.
With the stars and
Yeah, it's
the
cool.
and this is going to be just as tight as,
Well, we got to make it match.
as long as you're gonna give yourself a problem, give yourself 3 problems.
yeah. I don't know that I'll be able to finish it, but I finished the original one. I finished it in a month for cross stitch camp. I bought this pattern for cross stitch camp. So more on that later. And then the other thing I'm going to be concentrating on is Stitching Book Club's Narnia, the Chronicles of Narnia. And this is where I am so far. So less than halfway. I enjoy working on this. I like this book very much. And the pattern I love the colors of the pattern. Unfortunately, I don't like working on it because there is a lot of backstitch, and Pattern Keeper does not show you backstitch. And I want to do it in Pattern Keeper. I could print it out. I could, but I'm not going to. Because I already have it in Pattern Keeper. I already have it mostly there. But then I'm like, what is that big gap? Oh, there's probably backstitch there. Almost this entire section is backstitch. But down here, there's very little backstitch. So that'll be easier for me there. And
Can I
I'm
see that?
almost...
Sorry.
I'm almost done with where it says Pensivi. It's all just these lines, but it doesn't actually say a name yet.
Pivensi. I don't know how to say that.
Pensivi?
Pivensi.
They say it in the movie Pensivi.
Well, it's PDV, so I don't know.
I don't know. Not my problem. Okay. So, per WIP-GO, the new numbers came out. My new starts for May are Hedgehog by Cute Patterns by Maria. Remember I bought this for Hannah?
Oh, yeah.
I sent her all the stuff. This is how big it is.
Oh.
Look how little. It's so tiny. Yeah, I wanted something little for her, so I picked something that was really small, and I think it's marked as an easy pattern. I don't think it has any backstitch or anything in it. And so that is one that I need to start. And then the other one that I'm starting is the Shepherd. It's a Cottage Garden Samplings they did a whole year of these snowmen. And honestly, this is the only one I really liked. And I love snowmen. But I was like, every month I'd be like, what's the new snow? No, that's okay. I'm good with just one. And what I like about this one is all these little sheep. Look at those sheep. Oh, they're so cute.
I like his coat.
And his coat is adorable. And I'm going to put it on 14 count Aida in toast. I know for a fact that white shows up very well on this because this is what I used for the gingerbread house. And that had a lot of white. And this thing has so much white. So much white. And it's charted with 3865 instead of white. But I think I'm going to use B5200 because snowmen should be white. When I stitched on that Stitching with the Housewives, that snowman, she did the snowman itself, eggshell, and it looked like somebody used peed on snow.
Dirty snow.
And I want my snowman to be white. So I think I'll use beef. Look at his little arms.
Little sticks.
So cute little
His
sticks.
little
for
sticks. So,
That's cute.
yeah, the pattern, you every time you look at it, you see something else that's
They're
adorable.
not just sticks, they're sticks with leaves still on them. And holly down there. That's really cute. I like that.
And even though I know that there is very little chance of my finishing Moonlit Moth this month, I'm going to still work on it because, as I said, I joined a SAL. And there is this free pattern, and I will show you this much of it. Because it's just all pattern.
Oh.
So it's called Luna, and it's by Annie B's Folk Art. I may or may not start this because I could technically start it for cross stitch camp for August, stitch something new to you, and I've never done this person stuff. But
So Luna moth? Is
but
that
I'm
what it
supposed,
is?
huh?
It's
Yeah,
a Luna moth.
yeah, a moth or a butterfly, or butterflies don't fly at night though, so maybe it's a moth.
Yeah, because there's a moth called the Luna moth.
Anyway, oh yeah, didn't even think about that. And I was thinking about putting it on the blue side of this. I have the pink side. I have the blue side. It's little, like this one, because they're all little. They're all exactly the same size.
All right.
Fine. Just dropped a stitch in the needle.
So the problem with using this for cross stitch camp is that I can't take a picture of the pattern. I can take a picture of the words, but that's not really taking a picture of the pattern. So I have to think about that. But I think that that'll be the next one that I start. Probably, maybe. Maybe, probably. So speaking of cross stitch camp, I got all excited when Beth said, oh, the new things are out for cross stitch camp, the new challenges. The first one is stitch something that shows if you stitch day or night. And especially in June, I'm going to be stitching mostly at night. I picked up some work and it's every day during the day. So I thought that would be a perfect time to start this. Now I had some fabric that I thought I would work, but it's a little too dark orange. I need something a little more sherbety. So it looks like I need to dye some fabric because I don't think I want to buy fabric. Because I probably have to buy fabric for July. Now, July is Stitch Something by Your Favorite Designer, and we all know how many of Erica Michaels' patterns I've started. And now, Beth gave me this pattern for Christmas one year.
What is it?
Jingle
I
bells.
haven't seen those. I don't remember.
But I also I bought this one.
That's cute.
So I'm trying to decide between the two.
Ooh.
Because I think I'm gonna do an Erica Michaels berry. No, I'm not gonna be able to finish that one in a month. I like that one best, but I don't think that's one, I don't think I'd be able to finish that in a month. That's a lot of stitching on that one.
Those are cute.
That's basically full coverage. I might do the one that just says quilt. On the other hand, the one that's full coverage is less counting. But this upside down berry, just adorable.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not quite sure I want to stitch on red.
And where are you gonna find it?
Well, you'd have to order it. I could dye it, but I would have to buy 32 count white fabric, so I might as well buy 32 count red fabric. But, I don't know. I think I would rather stitch it on like a blue or something like that. I don't know. I mean, it's charted in red, but that doesn't mean I have to do it in red. And red is a very Christmassy color, so I don't know. Anyway, I just thought I would stitch. This one is less stitching, Jingleberry. It has, both of these are exactly the same pattern. And one's on 28 count and the other one's on 32 count. But they're exactly the same. It's the pattern. The pattern's
This
the
one is
same.
upside down and one is right side up.
And one is little and one is big. So, I don't know. It just seems like it would be hard to stitch on red.
Not with white. Would show up real good.
It's just seeing the holes. It seems like it would be like stitching on black or navy. Okay, that is me.
That's you?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna go next. And I'm making a big mess with my yarn. So I'm gonna take a minute. So apart from crazy things at my job, the only thing that I have worked on this week is finishing Hannah's notebook. So last week I finished the notebook that goes with her journal, the cover, excuse me. And this week I worked on this that's called the Inkwell. It's a little bit floppy for a reason. Okay, what it is, let me pull it off of here. It goes with this is the Crafted Life Companion with by Arabesque Scissors Sewing, and it's got the journal inside and it's got pockets, right? This is from last week. And then she has a companion pattern that you can buy called the Inkwell. And this is an elastic band and a little pen pocket. So in the way, when she did the pattern, she did this back and this flap all in the same color. And I misunderstood and I did the front and the back in the same color in the flap, but it doesn't matter. I think it looks good. So it has a little elastic band around here to keep the flap down, and then you can fill it with pens. And this is holding 4 pens right now. So it has pleats up here in the front to give it volume. It was very small and tight and fiddly. And I was late to come recording today because I was like, I'm 2 seams away from finishing. I got up super early this morning and I worked on it, and then I had to go get eggs, and then I came back and I worked on it, and then I had to take Eli to work, and then I came back and I'm like, I have 2 seams left. It was the final seam, and then I had to turn it and then do all the top stitching. So, but I think it came out really nice and neat. I worked really hard to make sure it looked really finished and well tailored. one thing that I've learned in my quilting life is when I was doing this top stitching, you know, where you stop and start can be ugly. And so I took a note from doing machine quilting where you have both the bobbin thread and the sewing thread long, and you just start. You don't knot it. You just start it, and then you go, and if you pull on the top thread, you kind of pop it through the fabric. The bobbin thread comes up in a loop like this, and you can grab it and pull it out to the front. And you can also do it conversely on the back of a piece. But so either way, you can pull it up to the back, and then you can actually do tiny little knots and then bury those ends in the thicknesses of the quilt. So that's what I did in the notebook and also here. So you can't really even see where, this is where I started right there. Mm-hmm. So I started here, left my threads long, I ended here, left those threads long, popped them both. This would be what I would consider the back, because when it's done, it's inside. And I didn't do it on the back here. So I popped those through, tied them, and then buried the ends in the thicknesses of this back here. And I did that in all of the top stitching in the notebook too, so there's no ragged ends or knots really visible. So I think it makes it nice and neat looking. This was really hard to turn, because once you put on this outside pocket, so this outside pocket is lined, and then there's this, this is called the lining, and then there's two pieces here, and this has those darts, and it all has interfacing and fusible fleece, so it's very thick. And then when you put this lining on, you leave an opening, right, and then you turn the entire thing inside out, meaning you're shoving all of this plus the elastic through that little hole. And it was quite an ordeal this morning. That's why I'm like, I'm running late. But it was very much worth it, and I'm really, really pleased with this. Now, the reason I said it was floppy for a reason is that the Moleskine notebook that I bought for her it's still considered an A5, but I think maybe it's European versus American-made journals, but it's just a little bit smaller than this. So you see, like, the cover has a little bit of space and room, and it's also not quite as tall. And I knew that if I made this elastic super tight, it would crush the fabric here, and I really didn't want that. And then also, you can put it on the flap. Now the interfacings that she used, that she recommended, I didn't buy. I just bought fusible fleece from Joann's, and I bought 2 yards of it because I had to buy 2 yards because they're going out of business. So anyway, it wasn't as stiff as the one that she used. So when I go to, sorry Beth, all your stuff is here. When I go to put the pen holder on the flap, I did not want this to be so tight that it compromised the cover at all. So, and it's just, I think it's just snug enough to kind of exist here and not pull in on those edges. So maybe it's a little bit loose, but
She could also put it on the side where the notebook is.
right. Well, that's where she has it over here also. But when I made this, because the notebook was smaller, and I measured where the snaps are, you know, I closed it so that it was kind of snugged up because it's already too small, the notebook itself. Mm-hmm. This is kind of far over here.
Yeah,
but so I already tried it. So if you put it on this part,
that's not what I meant.
huh?
Let me see.
So that's the other place that she recommends putting it. Careful.
Because when you're using the pens, you want to have them available anyway, so you can put it here.
But you can't
But
open
then
the
you
book.
can't-
I know. But it doesn't bend anything. You can put it there and then you can just pop the whole thing off.
I see.
When you're ready to use them,
Yeah.
you get at the pens easily.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
however she wants to do it.
But,
you know,
yeah,
it's
so-
available.
The maker of the pattern recommends putting it here on the lid. I mean, on the front cover. But I didn't leave enough, I don't think I left enough space. Oh, maybe I did with the snaps. I guess it works there. She'll figure it out how she wants. But then I thought if it's on the cover and you open it up, it's out of the way of the book. Because right now, if you do this, it's in the way of maybe of opening the book. I don't know. I'll let her figure out where she wants to put it. But the elastic is loose because I did not want it to compromise and crush the edges of this. So it's a little bit loose. And I thought, well, if it's, see, because it kind of hangs a little bit, I could fudge it and
Can,
like
shorten the elastic.
shorten it a tiny bit, but it would not look good if I did that. So I also could just right here on this part, like far away from the thing, I could just sew a little fold like
Yeah.
that if I felt like I needed to do that. But oh, think about it. But anyway, this is mostly done, basically done, ready for her birthday, which is actually tomorrow. So Hannah, I don't think she watches this, but if you're watching, happy birthday. And if not, I'm going to take it to her in a week. I'm very excited. And that was pretty much all I have done this week. I did work on this project, my little Musselburgh hat, while I was at open rehearsal last Thursday night watching the rehearsal of Beethoven's Ninth. So I was sitting out. I had to be there to babysit some VIPs who came to sit on stage with the orchestra. They were so tickled. So I sat out in seats and knitted. While I listened, I was listening. But you can't do it at concerts because people don't understand that you can listen and knit at the same time, which is a stigma.
We do it all the time.
But we do it all the time. So that is me. I'm working on my aunt's sweater still. This is the 3 rectangles, 2 triangles sweater by Stacy Perry. This is the back. It's getting there. I did start this new ball. So, and I'm about to start a new ball pretty soon on the 2 little rectangles because the yarn is getting down there. So, anyway, that's me.
Okay, let me just pull this to the back. So last week I had like basically one project, and this week I have like the opposite. Yeah. So this is the jackrabbit. I hit I did like 8 days or whatever, but I wanted to do the darkest gray on his feet. Last week I think I was working on it because I was going to try to do my new starts, and I was like, I can't do the math here because it's complicated.
Right. I remember.
Yeah, so I went ahead and worked on more on the jackrabbit, and I finished the white part of his tail, and right now I'm working on the dark part here, and then after I finish that, and I'm kind of determined to finish that today probably, because it's just a few more stitches. But then all that's left of the jackrabbit's body is this lightest gray that goes all through all this empty part here. And so, it gets me closer to finishing the actual jackrabbit, and then all that's left is just there's just like 2 little sprigs of flowers on either side. So next year, whenever I get back to it, I'll be able to finish it. But anyway, so that's the more of the jackrabbit, Cottage Garden Samplings jackrabbit. So because I hit the goal, I don't want to put this over because I'm making too much of a mess here. So what I had left for WIP-GO for this month was, before I do that, I had talked about wanting to do this pattern for my dad because his birthday was last Sunday. So I worked a little bit on this Wayfaring Stranger. So this is the memorial piece I did for my dad just after he passed away. So this is from the hymn Wayfaring Stranger. It's an old hymn we used to sing out of an old hymnal we had. But the text is, I'm a poor wayfaring stranger while traveling through this world below. And then another part of the verse, I am just going over Jordan, I am just going over home. And then it has his name and dates. And so the little sheep here represent his family and him and the Jordan River. So I worked just a little bit on it, part of the day. On Sunday, I worked on just part of the river here. This is 1/2 on this very, very tiny count fabric. This is like, I bought it at Hobby Lobby, and it's packaged as embroidery fabric or whatever, but it's very tiny. I don't know what the count is because it didn't say on the it's basically just a fabric bundle. They had like a bundle of like blues and grays, I think, or something, and another one of earth colors or whatever.
Well, it's probably just for like regular embroidery and not cross
Yeah.
stitch.
Oh, yeah. It's like I said, it's marketed as embroidery fabric, and so for cross stitch, you can see the teeny weeny holes, but they're like very, very tiny. Like I would say, I don't know. They're too tiny for me to sit there and count. I would say it's maybe 50 count. I don't know. It's very small. But because of this, when I was first working with it, my thread would like shred basically, and for I think it was at the Jingle Ball, not this past December, but a year ago, one of the designers that was a guest on the show, he was talking about using wax, the beeswax as a thread conditioner, and you just hold the thread against the wax and just like zoop, run it through, and then you can just use your fingers to smooth over the thread, and that way you're not putting a whole glop on your thread, but it helps strengthen it. And so since I started doing that, I'm able to pull the thread through and not have a problem with it. So anyway, I worked a little bit on the river here, and so that was part of the day. And the other part of the day, I worked on this one here, To My Dear Father. This is by Little Robin Designs, and I got this is on Carolina 28 count Carolina linen, and I did just the outside of the outline of these like windows in this house here. So I did a little bit of that, and just that one color. So just a little bit on each one of those. And I will get back to this Wayfaring Stranger in a minute. So then my new starts for April, one of them was this Fox Snow Globe by Tiny Modernist. It was a little freebie that was at the Jingle Ball, I think. This little freebie. And it's just a fox and a Christmas tree in a snow globe. And so I did a little bit of that. I'm working on the tree right now. I got to the end of the thread, but here's this little scarf and part of his jacket. Excuse me. I did part of the outline of the tree without the ornaments and stuff that go in there, but that's coming along. And that's just after, I think 2 days maybe. So I've got the next few days this month. And the other thing I did was Frostbite by Amanda Mae McNaughton, Artist Designs. And so I got part of it done. I'm working on this. This is 14 count Aida, printed like a printed fabric because it's white on one side. So this is the one we talked about last week about, you know, using it when I was having my fabric dilemma. Well, so one thing I did was I realized these are very tight margins because the fabric on this, I think this is 32 count, some scraps of linen that I had. And with 32 count with a 1 inch margin, this fabric is wide enough. Typically I like a 2 inch margin just for safety's sake, but I already had these little scraps of fabric, and this design is like 68 by 68. So one way or another, this 6.25 inch margin was going to be tight anyway. So, and it was, you know, as long as I needed it to be. So I cut this fabric, and ordinarily I don't usually cut things, but I cut it so I could start in the center and do that. So like I said, it's going to be tight on the width, I think, but it shouldn't be a problem. And then this one also, I went ahead and cut it, and I realized I probably cut it a little tight. I should have made it a little wider. Because I think actually the model is like, I want to say it's maybe on 32 or something. So this is a little bigger, but I put it through the cross-stitch calculator and all that, and I think I just like should have given it a little more margin. But anyway, so this will be, because this has just like 3 more stitches, which would put it right about here, so it would just give me like I said, a very tiny margin, but it's enough, I think, to you know, if I'm doing it like square on this thing that I showed a couple weeks ago, that, you know, that I found at Hobby Lobby. It's a little standing display, a chalkboard kind of finish. This should be enough to finish like on a flat piece of like mat board or something, and stick it to that. And if I decide to instead to do it to finish it some other way, you know, I'll just like fiddle with it. But anyway, so this does use like an off-white 712, I think is what is the number on here. It's actually charted in some kind of thread that I am not familiar with, but it had a DMC, you know, alternative, so that's what I'm using. But so the white of the snowman is an off-white, and then that B5200 is used for the branches and some snow that's on there. But the actual body of the snowman is this 712, which is an off-white color. But I think it works. It's a baby snowman. It's a baby snowman. But one thing I noticed, what I found out was that it has like 3 shades of red that are involved in this like scarf thing he's wearing, and one of the shades, I don't know, I thought I had it somewhere, and it's not I did my big box of shame reorganizing, whatever. And so I thought, okay, well, it's not in the box of shame. And I looked in my thread tracker in, what do you call it, Thread Stash. And it didn't list it as it, you know, with anything except for this frostbite pattern. And so I thought, well, either I used it on some pattern that I finished, or I didn't put it in Thread Tracker, which is entirely possible, because it could be that, because in Thread Stash, you know, when you put a project in there, it requires you to put the name of the project, and you can put the designer if you want, but then, you know, it has just a few things like the size of the pattern and, you know, like that. But so when you go to add the threads in, it's like a separate, feature. So you can add the threads or you could not add the threads if you don't want to. And so I think on some of them, I kind of didn't bother to put the threads in all of them. Or I think also it might be that there are projects that I finished, and if I took the threads out and did something with them, or left the threads in the project, if I finished it, because I had the hide finished or whatever, it might not show up. I don't know, but at any rate, I can't seem to locate the threads. So I might just have to go to Hobby Lobby and buy it.
Well, I'll be doing the same thing because I had the same problem.
But
I've been stitching that robin with the wrong thread because I could not find that thread anywhere, and I was just like, I want to work on this, and I'm just going to do it. And I've been using, instead of 840, 841, and I figure, whatever, there's so many threads in that, but I need it again for the hedgehog, and I'm like, well, heck. Because this time I've gone through, probably what happened is I did here where I used 841 instead of 840 because I couldn't find 840. So somewhere in one of my projects, I used some other color instead of 8 and put in 840 instead of whatever the color. Because sometimes I never fix that in Thread Stash.
Yeah.
So I have too many projects to even begin to go through them. One time I thought, I should take all of the threads out of everything and I thought that for about 5 seconds.
So anyway, so like I said, I have not been
That's
able
how
to.
I am with needles.
Just
I
buy
don't know
some
where
new
my
ones.
needles are. Which project, which bag?
So the new WIP-GO numbers came out. I'll go ahead and talk about that now. So the new WIP-GO numbers came out, and so for May, they are number 5 and number 19. And, let's go back. Number 5 and number 19. I put it here because my throat's here.
Oh my gosh, guys.
Anyway, so number 5 is another one of these Year in the Woods. I've been almost every number they've called has been Year in the Woods.
Boring.
Well, she did it on purpose because she has all of her stuff in storage.
So because these are the only patterns I have available. So this is
not anymore.
Yeah, that's true. We'll get to that again later. This is the raccoon, and this is number 4 of the series. And so this is one I didn't have as much of a start in it as I would have liked. Let me move this needle minder out of the way here. So I did one of these little flowers here, and this is one that I don't think I fixed it. I think I fudged it. I didn't have one of the threads handy, and I just I tried to count, and I kind of miscounted by 1 or something. So I was like, oh, it's not quite right. I found out later. But anyway, so I did part of his back you could see this little curvature of his back, and I didn't get to his face yet, and I only got one little claw down here. And so I did a little bit of his tail. And so the edge of his tail here is the edge of the pattern. So I have a lot. I'd like to get his body done, as I've been doing with all of these others, so that then all that's left is the little flower stuff on the edge. And I didn't do the cabin on this one like I've been trying to do with all of them, because the cabin's way down here at the bottom of the pattern. So this is number 4. So 4, 5, and 6 is the raccoon, the ferret, and the bear. And the ferret's about maybe a third of the way done. The bear is a little bit further along, but both of them have their cabins done. But I have not done the raccoon as much. I haven't put as much in on the raccoon. So anyway, this is my project for May, one of my projects for May. And so that's one of my WIP-GO projects, and my other WIP-GO main project, number 19, is Wayfaring Stranger. So I'm hoping to, maybe I can finish this part. I don't know. Maybe I can finish it. We'll see. Because it's very slow going though, because it's so tiny. It's, you know, harder to see and harder to stitch. I'd like to finish more of the words here, but I think I didn't do it because it's kind of hard to anchor it, you know, because it's all what do you call it? Backstitching for the words, and so, you know, and with one thread, you know, it's hard to find a good way to anchor it well, and so. But yeah, I'd like to finish the words, and I have part of the border needs to be finished. This part is very dense stitching. The sheep and the grass and the river is very dense stitching. So I don't know how I'll get along, but that's my other WIP-GO. And then, sorry, little bee, sorry. So then I have 2 new starts, of course, for May. And the number 5 is the second version of Parade of Elephants. So Janine McGowan of Blue Flower did a series of 4 animal groups, basically, for the Punch Needle and Print Stitcher magazine. And one of them was Parade of Elephants. She did something about, I think there was one with cats and one, but anyway, they were like clusters of animals, whatever. So she did Parade of Elephants. Well, then Hello from Liz Matthews also did a chart called Parade of Elephants. And this one is a literal elephant parade. What?
More elephants.
Yes, lots and lots of elephants. And that's why I'm wearing an elephant shirt. But so Parade of Elephants, and it says here, parade today on the little banner. So this is one of my new starts for May. It looks like a lot of fun. It looks like a lot of different colors. So I haven't even begun to look at this. That's all DMC.
I noticed that in Thread Stash now you can mark not only in progress or not started, but you can mark kitted.
Oh, really?
And so I've been going in when those that I have chosen a fabric for. When I get a pattern in, I always get all the threads because I don't want to be looking for them later, and I end up looking for them. And but once I've chosen a fabric for it, I go ahead and put kitted now. I'm like, yay! I like that.
My other new start is. It's a pickle.
It's
yes.
a Christmas pickle.
It's a Christmas pickle. I almost did that, but I didn't. So this is from the Jingle Bell Baubles book that they sold at the Jingle Ball. And I got this, and so it comes with all these designs, and there's one other one. I think it's not that one. This one. This is the cover. So this is the 12th design, and this is the other 11. So on my WIP-GO chart, it just has an asterisk, you know, choose one of the Jingle Ball bottles. And so I looked at this, and I decided to do this Let It Snow down here.
Oh, with the cardinal? I
It's
was
a
just
little
looking
cardinal
at
with a
that.
hat. Yeah.
I was just looking at
Little
that.
hat.
How cute
So
it was.
so this is the cardinal
Oh, it's
with
adorable.
a little hat.
I like it.
Yeah, and it says on here, what does it say? It says the weather outside might be frightful, but Carmine Cardinal is staying bundled up and cozy while enjoying the first snow of winter. Carmine's dear friend Clementine Fox knit him a green scarf and hat set to keep him warm all winter long. She just knew the green yarn she picked would look nice and festive with his feathers. He is ready for this year's Christmas card close-up. So yeah, so it's very cute.
How big is that going to end up being?
It's going to be 51 by 71.
Oh, very little.
Yeah. So it's a nice little, be a nice new start for May. So there's that. Plus, the spring mingle is coming up next weekend, Friday through Sunday next weekend. It's a Lindy Stitches spring mingle. And if you want to you can still buy tickets. Not for the class. Well, the last day to buy tickets for the class is the 28th. Which was Monday. But you can buy the general admission tickets up until Friday, I guess. But it's a virtual event, so you don't have to, buy hotel room or food or transportation or anything like that. You can just stitch from the comfort of your own bedroom, if you whatever, your pajamas or whatever. So anyway, so I was thinking I might start this Tiny Modernist Snow Day, Mouse's Snow Day. It's like what?
You mean for that?
Yeah, 59 by 59. So I might work on that, or I might work on all these other May projects that I have going on here. So I don't know, but this gives me an option of something to do, and I have all the threads for this already picked up, set aside and everything. So then, like Eve had talked about, coming up is the summer cross-stitch camp. So for June, the night or day stitching, I kind of do both. And so we were talking about it, and he said, well, there's that Biscornu by Silver Creek Samplers that is a sun and a moon.
It's a sun on one side and a moon on the other.
That's you.
Yeah,
That's cool.
So I went ahead and ordered that. And because patterns can't travel alone, I also ordered the Starry Starry Night Biscornu, which is a Vincent van Gogh.
Patterns get very lonely.
Yeah.
So
So it's goes along with that Starry Starry Night theme. So I don't know exactly what it looks like completely.
Give me your scissors.
But it looked interesting enough that I went ahead and ordered it. So that's on its way. I think it shipped today or something. But anyway, so that's what I'm doing for June. For July, what did I say July was? Favorite designer. I haven't decided yet. I'm gonna.
Do you have a favorite designer?
I don't know.
I went by whose patterns I stitch the most often, and that I go and look for. Like she has been doing all those cottage garden samplings, but that's not necessarily her favorite design.
Right.
Yeah,
And you want to do something different too.
Yeah,
you don't want
I had mentioned earlier that one of the things my bassoon teacher when I was in college, one of the things he said was like that people ask him who's your favorite composer. He goes, it's oftentimes it's like whoever I'm playing right now.
Right, a lot of
and that's kind of how I feel like if there's a
you
design that I like.
Figure it out.
Yeah, if there's a design that I like, at that moment I feel like this is my favorite designer, and then I'm like, this is my favorite designer. This is my favorite designer. So I don't know. I really like a lot of designs by the Blue Flower.
Yeah.
By Janine McGowan. I like a lot of her stuff.
And Tiny Modernist.
And Tiny Modernist.
Yeah.
And
I've seen it. I'm just from an outside observer.
Yeah. And there's some other person.
Mine was very difficult because it was either Erica Michaels or Cute Patterns by Maria.
I was going to say Maria Brockville.
Yeah. But all of the patterns I have by Maria, I've already started. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the other thing too is the August challenge. Something new to you, I don't know because there's maybe the Vincent Van Gogh thing. I think that's a designer I've never done before. Off
But
the
you
top of my
could try
head.
some that.
You could do that goose. You've never done a pattern by them, have you?
Which,
The one looking in the puddle? Or is that the blue flower?
that's Mooflower.
Oh.
Yeah, the pigeon and puddle. Yeah.
Have you
that's
tried? Have you
Mooflower.
thought about doing cute patterns by Maria? Because you love those.
No, yeah,
and
I
you've
have
never
not.
done those.
I've never done any of those.
And they're
She
so
has
freaking
she has a
cute.
bird. She has a bird that looks like the robin, but it doesn't have any back stitching. Because it just adds to the amount of time. And the thing is that I don't mind doing the back stitching because it brings them to life. But she has some patterns that don't have any back stitching.
You should do that because you've never done hers and you love them. You think they're so cute.
Yeah. There's also, I was wondering if I can, because I had thought about, the night garden, all those night garden patterns, but I've used Threadworks before because there's something I had that.
Yeah, but if it's a night garden pattern by somebody that you have never done.
Yeah. But
I'm so confused.
also,
I'm confusing myself.
I have those cottage garden threads that I have never used before. I have them in a couple of projects, but I think it's Pigeon and Puddle uses cottage garden threads. But it's a big
that
project.
particular challenge because you may have something in your stash and you just never started. I've never done this before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm doing it now anyway. I'm not saving it. But
Well, the thing is that the idea is, and I guess you don't really have to finish it within a month, but the idea is that you start it on the first of the month and you try to finish it by the end of the month. And so I'm trying to maybe find smaller patterns. And so,
this is
I don't know
Cute
yet.
Patterns by Maria, and it's teeny tiny, tiny.
well, in this one, Let It Snow is by, I want to say it's Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. And I'm trying to remember whether I've done that or not. Whether I've done Frosted
And you have
Pumpkin.
to distinguish whether or not you've bought it and whether or not you've done it because you just buy whatever restrictions they
Yeah, well, a lot of these, like the Jiggle Bell bottles,
Could you do a punch needle?
I don't know if that would count.
Well, it doesn't matter. It counts whatever you say counts.
Ask her. It's in this magazine, but
Yeah.
I've never done a punch needle. Well, you have done one. Never mind.
No?
Never done a punch needle ever? Anyway,
You have some time.
Yeah.
You have some
So,
time.
yeah,
you know.
months. Months. And that leads to,
Question of the week. You done?
Yeah, I'm done.
So, question of the week, we want to know: are you familiar with cross stitch camp? Are you participating? And are you interested in it? I think I did 1 month of cross stitch camp a few years ago because I remember doing it. I was working on it while I was at. No, I don't think it was cross stitch camp. It was one of like a February challenge or a.
Well, they did
Summer
1 year. She
challenge,
did
yeah.
a February
Who is
winter cross stitch camp. Sherry Berger,
No.
Sherry Truitt-Berger of
It wasn't camp. It was.
Colorado Cross Stitchers.
It was where we got a magnet. I mean, a stitch marker.
Oh, it was the
It's a different challenge.
everything cross, every,
From the 1, 2, 3 stitch or something.
no,
embroider.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I did. But anyway, so are you interested in cross stitch camp? Have you ever done it before? Are you looking forward to it? And that's what we want to know. So let us know. They have plans. Obviously, I'm not doing cross stitch camp. I'm doing brand new job.
it's not like I don't have plenty to stitch on.
Right. No, it's
Yeah.
just something fun to
Yeah.
get your juices going and do something different.
Or
Try other things.
the Mania is coming
Yeah.
May, and so
Yeah.
many people do Mania.
But so let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah, let us know if cross stitch camp is on your radar, And if not, these
Cross
guys are
Stitch Camp,
familiar
Spring
with it.
Legal, Mania,
Yeah.
you know, all those special,
Just
Well,
little,
we're wondering specifically
but
about,
specifically, yeah.
yeah,
Cross
we're
Stitch
wondering
Camp.
about Cross Stitch Camp.
Yeah.
Because that's coming up starting in June, right?
Yes, starting
Yeah,
June
so you
1st,
have
yes.
A month,
And-
a little over a
and-
month.
Yeah, Sherry was talking about, you know, like gather your supplies for June 1st so that you can take a picture of what you're planning on working on, you know, threads, the fabric, the pattern. So you can take a picture of it before June 1st, but then, you know, the goal is to don't start stitching on it before June 1st. But you have, you know, the whole
Or
month
the,
of May to
or the
gather your
Cross Stitch
supplies.
Police will show up at
Yes.
your door. You didn't know.
well, then you're not eligible for the.
Yeah,
No,
you're breaking the
I'm just
rules. But,
I'm just joking.
But so yeah, so you have a month to gather your supplies for June. But also the reason that she posted it so early, she said that she's going to be traveling for the month of May, and she's not sure whether she'll have a chance to do another
To do updates.
floss do
Yeah.
you know, before that. But
That's
so
fun.
so yeah.
Those are fun. Those are fun.
And if you-
I'd like to go, like, actually go.
It's like
to
when we
Cross Stitch
do
Camp.
the knit thing with Sharon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sheriff from Security.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, with a Casa Pica. Yeah, knit alongs and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah.
So
but what's neat about
you can go to her website too.
Yeah.
To Colorado Cross Stitcher is her.
what's neat about
thing.
Cross Stitch Camp versus a stitch along or a knit along is that stitch along, knit along, everyone's doing the same pattern. But Cross Stitch Camp, everyone picks their own based on
Yeah.
their prompts. So that's
Mhm.
kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
All right, well, that's our question. So let us know what's going on with you regarding that. And now I have a story, and it's called I'm going to tell you a ghost story. Beware of ghosts. It's funny, but it's also not funny. This morning, I was going to
Sorry,
go
wait, I'm gonna get my
get.
jackrabbit out of here.
We were getting ready to take a drive to the farm to get our eggs. And I get eggs for all my colleagues and friends and stuff. And we got in the car, and it was all three of us. And my car, in addition to my regular mirrors, my backup camera, it has motion detection. So, and in the grocery store, if there is a person, and like my backup camera, right? It's like fisheye, right? So you can see way further down. And like in a grocery store, if someone's walking like way far away from me, it still beeps. And so now, I will say I was looking, and also my street is always empty, and I'm too used to it always being empty. But I pulled out of my driveway, and I wasn't going fast, but I pulled out of my driveway, and all of a sudden, in the actual street, not on the sidewalk, but in the actual street, as I'm pulling out like this, there was a woman, a little old lady, like close enough to touch the driver's side, the passenger side windows of the car.
That's not where you're looking for people to be.
But
Yeah.
my my backup camera did not beep.
Mm.
And she
It beeps when they're.
She was walking the direction that she would have walked behind the car. And if she was in the street, even when I was in the driveway, I was in reverse, it would have beeped at me if she was moving behind the car.
Mm-hmm.
So all the way for the half-hour drive to the farm, we were trying to figure out how it was that she wound up there, like on the passenger side of the car. So she had to cross behind my car, and my car didn't beep. We didn't see her. Now, I wasn't like, let me check all my mirrors before I move. That's on me, and it's really not funny because I would feel horrified if I'd actually hit her. But she stopped, and she's angry that, but I'm like,
Why is
number
she in
one,
the street?
my car was on for a long time because I was sitting in there and I was messing with the radio, telling Mark, I'm going to let you listen to a song, and I was picking a song. I wasn't driving while I was picking a song. I was, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
part
it
of
was
that
just like
reason.
she just appeared out of thin air, like so bizarre. I'm like, so we're like, I think she's a ghost.
Quite some time ago, I was taking Robert to the Great Clips over there. That's right next to the Fry's on Rural and Ray.
Mm-hmm.
And it's impossible to find parking in that parking lot. There's so many businesses.
Yeah.
And it's a horrible parking lot anyway because the parking goes like this,
Yeah.
right? And you can't get there from here, you know, it's really hard to even drive through that parking lot. And the spaces in front of the Great Clips were taken. So I saw a space right there, but it was on a down row instead of where I would need to go up. Right there, there's an aisle that goes the wrong, I would have to go the wrong way, up a down row, basically. Mm-hmm. But there was a parking space like 2 spaces in. And I knew that if I went to the next one that went up and then came back around, there would be somebody there. Okay? And we had an appointment. So I know they're not an appointment place, but you can sort of make appointments. So I turned up and went to turn in there, and I had to go backwards and then forwards and then, you know, to get the car in the right way. And I can't park. I'm not somebody that parks easily. So it took me a minute. And I look when I back up. I drive like a grandma.
I usually do too.
I drive like a grandma. Okay? I don't go fast. I don't, you know. And so I was looking. But you can't see people when they're behind you in certain spots, right? So I was backing up, and then I heard a thump on the back of my car because a woman had kicked the back of my car. She just kicked it. Mm. And I got out of the car and I said, "Did you just kick my car?" "Well, if you weren't trying to go in the space the wrong way." I said, "You saw what I was doing and you went behind the car anyway?" Why? Mm-hmm. And she started coming at me, and Robert got out of the car and went like this. She thought better of it and left. Because I was just like, "Lady, what is the first thing they teach you when you were 2 years old and you're walking in a park? And don't walk behind cars that are moving backwards."
I know. That's the thing. It's like my car.
People do it all the
My car
time.
was on. And I know I put it in reverse before I just flew down the driveway. I mean, I didn't just fly down the driveway, but I'm saying like, mm-hmm. My lights were on, my car was on. My car is not silent. It's not not an electric car. Like, I just thought it was very strange.
Yeah.
Like,
well, the thing is too is that, like, you know, if you're on foot, like my dad always used to say, assume everybody is an idiot. Mm-hmm. You know, that when you're driving, you know, you may be, you know, obeying all the traffic laws, and the other person may not be. The other driver, the other whatever, the pedestrian, whatever, they may not be paying attention to you, minding their P's and Q's, looking both ways before they cross, whatever. Mm-hmm. And, you know, and even if, like, if you're in a parking lot and you're going the wrong way, whatever, than you're supposed to, it doesn't matter. Because if you're the one walking in the parking lot and you see a car moving, whether they're moving the right way, the wrong way, inside out, backwards, whatever,
they're gonna win.
You
like,
stay, you don't, like they used to say in the 70s, but the right of way is not a right worth dying for. And, you know, because whether you're, that keeps you from being in a car accident, or, you know, because if you say, well, I get to go first, you know, the other person might not be paying attention or might not be following the rules or whatever, and so, you know, you just assume they're going to go the wrong way.
On entrance ramps to the freeway, people are always wanting to be first, mm-hmm. and I just let them pass me because we're all going to go 65 miles an hour. You know, we're going to get there virtually the same time. Right. There's no point in racing to be the first one to get on the freeway.
The other day I was really glad that I have a blue car because I was driving to work and there was 4, I kid you not, 4 white cars in an accident. All 4 were white in the police car. And I was like, it's white car day, I guess.
Well, you know, from our neighborhood, if you go out the front gate, whatever, across the street, there's a street coming out of a neighborhood, and those people that come out of that neighborhood you know, if they're
inevitably
turning
want to
left,
turn left.
if they're turning left onto our street and we're turning right onto our street, we have the right of way because we're turning right. And if you're turning left, you wait, right? And they never wait. They see an opening and they'll go, even if it's not their turn.
It's a very, very busy road
Yeah.
a lot of times.
Because
And
they
so-
think if I turn into that leftmost lane, we can both go at the same time.
Right.
And you're like,
And
no,
so,
it's not.
yeah.
But
and
you don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Right.
And so yeah, we're always having to wait for them, even though it's not their turn. It's better to assume that they're going to go than, you know, than to be in an accident just to prove that you're right.
So, when I was working on the back of our vehicles was one of those tattletale stickers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, well, we had a tattletale in the car that would tell them if we bumped something or whatever. But I'm talking about, how's my driving stickers, right, on the back of the car. And we had a person that her only job was driving. She drove to go pick up people, she drove, and then she went home for a while, and then she came back and she drove to take home people. And it was a morning, and she was getting on the freeway, and a man complained because he had to tap on his brake to keep from hitting her. And John, I had to listen to the phone call and with John, and he's like, so what do you want to do about this? Because, you know, we have to do something because she got a report. I said, John, he had to tap on his brake on an on-ramp to the freeway. She did nothing wrong. He was trying to act like, oh, she just tried to race around me. It's
Yeah.
2 lanes merging into 1 lane, so somebody's going to tap on their brake.
I had a terrifying moment on the freeway yesterday, I think it was. I was driving home and it's pretty busy. Like there's like, what did I say, 5 lanes, and the traffic was moving, which is why it was so scary. Traffic was moving, and you see, you know how when there's something in the road, you see cars start to, you kind of see it up ahead if you're paying attention. And I saw this thing, and to this day, I don't know what it was. At first I thought it was a piece of a tire, but then it could have been like a ball of like blankets or I don't know what, but it was in the road, and you know, you don't know what it is. You're not going to run over it. And somebody, I think, had at least the air of the car going by had moved it. Anyways, it was moving in the lane, and it moved, because at first it was kind of to the right in the lane, and then when it moved basically square on where the right tire would have hit it. And so I'm like, I am not hitting that, because I actually thought it was
Depends on how
not
solid
soft.
it is.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know, you know, if it's cloth, you know, your brain, it's amazing your brain thinks through all these things in a split second. If it's cloth, it could roll up and get into your tires. If it's not, if it's something damaging, it could damage the car. If it's tire, you know, yeah, same thing. You could wreck and damage, or worse. So I put on my brakes because I'm like, and I almost got over, and my car, which beeps faithfully, was like, no, don't do that. And because there was a car right there, and so I was like slowing down really fast because I didn't want to hit that thing, and I had to wait for this guy to get out of my way. And I was like, someone's gonna hit me, someone's gonna hit me, like, you know, it was terrifying.
Well,
it was terrifying. And
several years ago, there was a 911 call that I heard. Okay, they were reporting it because the person on the other end got in trouble. When you are driving at 65 miles an hour, you cannot look up the phone number for the highway, patrol. You can't. You don't have time. This happened in California, and a guy called 911, and he said, there is a mattress on the freeway. And people are swerving all over to keep from hitting the mattress. Somebody is going to die. And she said, well, that's the California Highway Patrol. You have to call them. And he goes, I'm driving. I can't look up the phone number. Can't you tell them there's a mattress on the phone on the freeway? And she again was like, we can't take it. That's not a 911 thing.
Oh, no.
And he goes, well, then somebody's going to hit it and die because I can't call. And he hung up. And shortly after he hung up, a lady hit that mattress and was killed. And you know, people try to be responsible. I called once to 911 because I'm driving down. It wasn't a freeway, but it was a road that was 45 miles an hour, right? And I was on the west side, and there was a motorcyclist that was doing stunt driving on his motorcycle. He was standing on the seat of the motorcycle driving down beside me. And I called and I said, this motorcyclist is going to kill someone or himself. And she's like, 911 is for emergencies.
Here? This happened?
This is
In Albuquerque. It was on Unser Boulevard. And I was like, this guy is doing stunt driving on his motorcycle on a city street.
With other cars around.
Yeah. I said, he's going to kill somebody or he's going to kill himself. 911 is for emergencies.
Jeez.
I
Well,
said, whatever,
I'll let you
and I
know-
hung up.
Yeah, I'll let you know that at least the Phoenix 911 is very responsive because a couple of times I've reported hazardous things. Like one time I was driving on the freeway right over here between Baseline and Elliott. You know, there's that longer stretch of freeway and there's a super high wall, and it was right in there somewhere. There was a person walking. Now, in my memory, and that's what I told him, I said, I think it's a woman because I remember like a long robe and maybe a headdress, something. But there was no car, and there was really no shoulder to speak of. It wasn't like, you know, there wasn't a car like her car died and so she's trying to walk somewhere, or you know, or something. There was no car. It was just her. And she was right up against the wall. And I called and I was like, I told them, there is a person on I-10 with no vehicle in sight, just walking on the shoulder right up against the wall. And they were very responsive to me. And there was another time, oh my gosh, on Rural Road, I had gone to the grocery store right there where he lived. And I don't know, I had been driving around and I had seen this man on the corner, and he was like kind of like yelling, like a lot of times you see people who have mental illness on the street and they're yelling at nothing, right? And he was yelling, but he was kind of right on the edge of the sidewalk, and he was yelling at the cars, and something struck me about him that made me look twice, and I realized he was dressed to the nines. Because I remember I noticed his shoes. He had super nice brown dress shoes, but he was flipping out. And it was just so incongruous. Not to say that we shouldn't care if someone, you know, appears, you know, homeless or disheveled or whatever, that they don't matter. This is the same concern, but also I'm like, this is very unusual. And I wondered, I just imagined like
Something was wrong.
he was having a break, some kind of. So I called 911, and the problem with that intersection is that on the north side of the intersection, it's Tempe, and on the south side of the intersection, it's Chandler.
Right.
And on the other side of the street, it's the same thing. So they were like, which side of the street was he on? 'Cause they were going to dispatch either Tempe police or Chandler police or whatever. And and I think I drove back around, and I think he had walked across the street over to the Circle K or something. But I just remember being really, like, I just had a feeling like it's so incongruous.
Yeah, I did.
And I imagine like his wife at home or something. I don't know, making up stories. But I imagine his wife at home not knowing, thinking that he was at the office or something, and he was like literally having a breakdown or like a huge crisis.
So twice I've called here in Phoenix, and I got excellent response. It was when I was driving Uber. I was driving down Scottsdale Boulevard, and there was a man he was on the side of the road. He wasn't in the road, but he kept stepping into the road. He kept stepping into the road and yelling at cars. There was a very great desire to yell at cars in Phoenix because they're always doing something stupid. But he kept stepping into the road, and I said, he's going to be hit.
Yeah.
You know. And then another time on Baseline and 48th Street, a guy was crossing 48th Street, and he's screaming at the people that are waiting to cross the street and gesturing madly, and he wasn't getting out of the intersection when the light changed. And I was just like, 911? There's a crazy man on the street. Because, yeah, you know, because somebody is going to get angry and just hit him.
Yeah.
Because he would not move out of the street so that you could go. And you just wait, but there's somebody that doesn't want to wait.
Right. Do you ever have those moments where you can see something play out in your mind before it happens?
Yeah.
It was dark. I had picked Eli up from Walmart when he used to work there, and I was driving down Chandler Boulevard, coming up on an intersection, it was there in McClintock, that has like 3 lanes and a turn lane. And there was cars stacked up at the intersection except for the left lane. There were, in these 2 lanes, there was cars stacked up. So I'm approaching, and the light turns green, and I'm far away. Not super far enough that I'm still going to make the green light, okay? And I was not speeding, thank God. But there were cars in the other 2 lanes. They were just stacked up, maybe 2 or 3 cars. And the light turns green, and these cars don't move. And I'm coming up thinking, I've got it clear, my lane is clear, I don't know why they're not moving. Why are they not moving? And my brain starts to say, why are these cars not moving as I'm getting there? And then I see out from in front of the front car of the middle lane, this little old man with a walker. So I guess he had started when the light was red, but did not make it. And I had noticed something was weird early enough that I was able to like, and there he goes. And I'm like, you know, like if I had hit that man, it would have been tragic to hit that man. But I would have hit that man in front of my kid. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Like, and you just like, but if I hadn't like been paying enough attention to at least like, why aren't they moving?
Yeah.
What's wrong? And
I
then
saved
you
my
see
life.
him come out.
I saved my life doing that. I'm at a light, and the big truck right here blocks all view of the road from me. And I had the right to turn right. There was nothing there, even though it was a red light. And then the light changed, and the truck still wasn't moving. And I was like, why isn't this truck moving? And I was about to go, and then I said, why isn't this truck moving? So I didn't go. And right through his red light goes a big truck carrying, like a Chevy big Ram truck kind of thing, carrying a trailer, which means a lot of weight, right? If I had turned when that light changed, he'd have slammed right into me. And yeah, so.
I was going to say, I remember when we were, Naomi and I were driving to Florida from Albuquerque. We were going to a music festival out there. And at one point, we were behind a pickup truck, what I call a grapes of wrath truck, because it was the back of the truck was full of furniture and whatever. And on the top of this pile of stuff in the back of this truck was a mattress, and it was tied down, but you could see it kind of flapping, you know, a little bit. And we were behind it at one point, but we were going through Mobile, Alabama, and we had to go through a tunnel. And so I was, you know, we had never been through there before, and I was driving. I was like, which lane do we need to be in to get in the tunnel? And so I saw a sign that said tunnel traffic, blah blah blah. So I got over there, and the minute we got over, there was a Bronco behind us, and the minute we got over, that mattress flew off of that truck and landed on the freeway right behind it, and the Bronco, you could see it. I could see it in the rearview mirror, you know. And I was thinking, if we had been behind that truck a little bit longer, that mattress would have landed right on us. Oh my gosh. It was very scary.
So beware, watch out.
Yes.
And watch out for ghosts, because apparently they just materialize. No, I feel bad because I take on that I did not look. Mm-hmm. And I trusted, number one, that my street's empty all the time, and number two, that I have technology that's supposed to save me from things. So that's on me, and I take it full on. And I'm glad that nothing happened beyond us being like, how did that happen? But all right, well, we've got to go. We've got a performance tonight.
Yes.
I am going to hear Arizona Music Fest's concert production of Carousel tonight, so that'll be fun. And taking her to see the symphony, Beethoven 9.
Yes.
Beethoven 9, I got to hear rehearsal of it. It sounds really great, yeah. And our friend Christopher Witt, the bassoonist, is wonderful.
Yeah.
He sounds so good. So, we gotta go, and I'm sure Eve has things to do. We gotta go buy more thread.
Not today, but I will need to go somewhere because I can.
She's like, I'm not going to a concert. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for hanging out with us today, and we will see you in May. Bye.